you've been to some fireplaces. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor. Oh, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down next to me. Sit down, 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 with sympathy.
So, Darren, it's been forever. Welcome back. You used to be pretty regular on the old show, but it's good to have you back on, my friend. How you doing?
Yeah, lovely to be back on, Jez. Been busy with one thing and the next. You know, I've been a bit on and off, but it's good to be back, trying to get back into it now on these streams and that. You know, I'm always in the chat normally where I can. I'm very sort of on and off. But when I'm on, I'm on.
So that's true, man. True. You know, you're welcome anytime. You know that for a fact. Big up Acers, Godfather Jez. Big up, man. Darren says Acers and looking forward to this. Legend, says Kyle. The Volcano. Great one he did the other day. I loved Kyle's Arsenal journey. I thought that was brilliant, actually. Big up, Mama. Hope you're well, Mama. And I am looking forward, Darren, before we get into your journey, mate, I'm looking forward to getting back to proper football again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt the international tournaments, I love them. You know, I'm into them. I go up the boozer normally because I'm not spending 10 grand to go and watch a tournament abroad. Getting a bit too old for that, all the travel and all the hassle of it. So what I normally do is go up my local pub with my mates and watch the games there, have a few beers, something to eat. There's a Real Madrid fan up there who's quite knowledgeable, actually, up our local boozer. He's got some interesting sort of thoughts on football. And it was interesting watching a few of the recent streams. I think someone brought up Barcelona and cheating. And he's obviously don't like Barcelona because he's a Real Madrid fan. But he's just bang adamant that Barca cheat. He's a Chelsea fan as well, and he harps back on their semi-final, I think it was, or quarter-finals in the Champions League, when Barca cheats. He don't like Pep Guardiola. He's really, really adamant. And there was a couple of shows recently, I can't remember which ones they were, where the subject of Barca being a bit susceptible to bribes. I think it might have been Kenny Ken's one where he was talking about the referee in that game, and that he's come to light that 30 grand or a watch or something, something like that. So it'd be nice to get back to the real game, which is club football, which is more regular. It's one after the next, after Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday. More churn of games where you're like, yeah, this is. So you get over a defeat and you think, oh, I've only got a couple of days or 2 or 3 days to go now for the next game. So it's good.
I don't get the point of this Nations League. I mean, we could talk about that on another stream. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow night, actually. It just lays us open for bloody injuries and all that, which we don't need with our squad. But big up Oregon Dow. Big up to you, my friend. Thank you, mate, for that. Vino Fun. Big up Darren Real One. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Anyway, mate, we can kick this off. Obvious question. Of all these questions, I've asked everybody the same question to make it fair. All right. What dragged you to support Arsenal?
Well, when I reckon I was between 6 and 8 years of age, my cousins lived really close to the ground. Might have been the Barnsbury estate, one of the estates. And I remember playing with them on the street. bit of football and that, and they were Arsenal fans. And my uncle Christopher, God bless him, he's no longer with us. He was into it all, had the shirts, the colours and that. He had like this little mirror thing, Arsenal. They were all big in the 70s. This is the late 70s we're talking now. They used to sell these like mirrors with like Arsenal on, and I had one, and I don't know where it is. It's gone missing. But I was obsessed with this like mirror sort of thing. And the other thing I was obsessed with is as I was walking around the streets, whether it was at the shop to get some sweets or just walking around the area of Highbury, I noticed in everyone's windows, because it was at the time of the 1978 Cup final, 79 and 80s. I remember in all the flats, I used to look up near the flats and people who have an Arsenal flag in the window. Or they'd pinned up a copy of the squad picture in the window. I just loved it. I don't know what it is about Highbury, Islington, especially Highbury near the ground. I actually feel like perhaps in a past life I've lived there. I just feel like I belong there. I don't know. I get that feeling more with this place than anywhere else I've ever been. It's really weird. So that's what really stuck with Arsenal, with me, and it never went away. And I carried on supporting them. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest here. Round about this time, because you're young and impressionable and all that, there was a couple of doubts that crept in along the way. Oh, do I want to support this team rather than Arsenal and all that? I think perhaps a lot of people get that but won't admit to you they get it. But I did have a couple of wobbles, Ipswich and
okay.
No. But I stayed. My dad said to me, "Nah, Darren, no, Arsenal, you've got to stick with them, you know." So I did sort of own him. My mum's side of the family was sort of more West Ham. Although we're from west side of London, my nan moved from Barking, Dagenham over to Uxbridge after the war, I think it was. So there was, but I didn't really see my mum's East London side of the family. Didn't really mix with them so as much. So that it was Arsenal for me all day long. And
it could have been West Ham then, mate.
Well, you know, if I weren't supporting the Gunners, I think they'd be sort of near the top of the list of other, you know, potential teams that I would have supported. But
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you didn't go Tottenham, that's for sure.
No, there was, no danger in that. No.
That's like,
Andy
said, Jason Darren, question, thoughts on Martinelli now being injured? Well, there we go. Darren, what's your view?
Well, as much as I'm not a big fan of Martinelli, you know, it's going to get to the stage where we won't have anyone, you know, and then we'll be mid-table. You know, we don't want to keep getting injury after injury. And he has banged a couple of goals in recently.
Yeah.
You never know. Things can change in a player's career. So I was hitting Havertz with a big stick in the first 6 months. But now even I've sort of come around to think, well, actually, he's putting numbers on the board now. Arteta's put him in his proper position. So, you know, that's not such a, you know, a bad thing. Now with Havertz, he's up there. He's not the best striker in the world. I don't think he ever will be. But if he's putting numbers on the board, and if Martinelli can start putting numbers on the board, great. But if he's injured, you know, that's one less player we got. We have got a lot of fixtures coming up. Just going back to that thing about the other teams, weirdly enough, I grew up in sort of Hayes, West London. Just up the road from me, Steve Perryman, of Tottenham's brother, Bill Perryman, opened Steve Perryman's sports shop up. And all the kids used to go in there, but I'll sort of give that away.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing you just never did, was it? No. It's like against the grain. Right, I think this is going to be a great question. I'm looking forward to this question answer. Sorry, from you. Your favourite Arsenal game?
Favourite Arsenal game? There's been quite a few. The 1987 series of semi-finals against Tottenham. Obviously, the 1-0 defeat at home to Highbury was not a good experience. And then you got the 2-1 away at Tottenham and the 2-1 replay away at Tottenham. I went to all 3 games and I loved them all, even though we lost 1-0 at home. As a young fan, 16 years of age, just starting to go to the games proper, it was a great experience. All them 3 games were brilliant. But without a doubt, it has to be Liverpool 0, Arsenal 2.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Thomas, last minute. I was at the game. I was very fortunate to get a ticket to that because I was never a season ticket holder, never have been. And me and my mate at the time, we went to most of them games that season, home and away, as where you can just pay at the gate. What we did is we bought tickets as a member of the travel club because we were going to a lot of the away games. Bloke called Paul Johnson was running it. And we used to queue up behind the clock end to get our tickets. And we bought them tickets well before Hillsborough because we thought this game was scheduled for like March or April. And we thought we were going there in March or April. Well, obviously Hillsborough come along and everything got put off till the last game of the season. So, yeah, and I mean, what a game that was. We went up by coach. We were 10, 15 minutes late getting in the ground. We piled in 0-0 at half time. We were sort of doing all right. And then, Smithy got his header in the corner and it was like, yeah, we're winning 1-0. And all I remember was a bloke behind me saying, next season, Liverpool, you're going to get it. We're winning this title next season. I had this voice behind me, this bloke just doing a commentary. Liverpool, next season, you're going to get it. At half time, we did a big Georgie Graham's Red and White Army, the loudest one I've ever heard. We had like a little corner bit that was split in half, and you had one lot giving it that, and the other lot giving it that. Georgie Graham's Red and White Army, Georgie Graham's Red and White Army. At half time. And then all I remember is it was towards the end of the game, I just saw Tom. There was the view I had of it. Nothing could have stopped Michael Thomas. Nothing, right? He was unstoppable. He was travelling at the speed of light. He got a deflection. He went in, and I've looked at his foot where the ball is. I've seen Grobbelaar like this. And then I've looked at the back of the net like this, thinking, please, ball, get in the net. And then I didn't see the shot. I just saw the ball bobbling in the net. That was it. Awesome.
I still think one of the crucial players in that particular part of the game is Kevin Richardson. When John Barnes was taking the ball to the corner and he went in, slight tackled him, cleared the ball, and it went from there. Crucial part of the game. But yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. It was probably one of the most iconic games I've ever been to. One of my fondest memories, because none of us travelling up to that game thought we would actually win 2-0 at Anfield. No. We hadn't won there since 1972. No.
And I remember the headlines in the papers. West Ham got beat 5-1.
74.
Previous Wednesday, I think it was, West Ham, or the previous week, West Ham got beat 5-1 away. So that was by 4 clear goals. Whatever West Ham were going to get beat by, we had to beat Liverpool on the goal difference because we all knew West Ham were going to get beat because they were down the bottom of the table. And Leroy Rossini's header, that goal he got, I think it was right at the end of the game. They were 5-0 down. I think Leroy Rossini's header is the bit that made it, well, we can do it if we get a 2 clear goal advantage. So you're right. I mean, me and my mate stood in the betting office before we got on the coach locally in Uxbridge. We looked at the screens like this: 8-1, 16-1, Arsenal to to either win 2-0 or 3-1 or something. I just went, I ain't even going to bother. And we walked out. Didn't even bother putting a bet on,
No, it was a crazy night, absolutely crazy night. Right, your best Arsenal goal.
Oh, God, that's
Tough
tough.
one. Tough one.
Yeah, that is tough. Alan Smith's rocket at Copenhagen was a good one. That was a good goal. Obviously, you got Bergkamp's pirouette up at Newcastle.
Upset Mama now. He's just
Thierry Henry home to Man United. Sorry, Mama. Yeah. Thierry Henry home to Man United. And you got the Norwich goal at home with all them touches. Best Arsenal goal. That's such a tough goal. And when you say best Arsenal goal, is that for skill, or are we talking importance for building Arsenal's
anything that it can be
dynasty?
Anything that you think.
Right. Well, I'm going to go, and this will link into what I'm going to say later on. I'm going to go for Tony Adams.
Okay.
4-0 at home to Everton.
Oh, right. Yes.
In the North Bank, because I was in the North Bank when that goal got scored. That was when we were looking to get re-established as title winners with Wenger. It was his first title win. The stadium was rocking. Steve Bold looked up, chipped it over. Simple stuff. Chipped it over. Now, Tony Adams, who's not a striker and come in for a lot of stick on his ball control when he was a youngster, more when he was younger in the game, has gone in, chested it down, and then bang, has put it in. I'm going to go for that. It's not the most skillfulest goal, but for me as an Arsenal fan on my Arsenal journey, I'm saying that's my favourite Arsenal goal.
Oh, that's fair play. I mean, it was an awesome goal. I mean, I was stood there in the North Bank, right behind the goal when that goal went in, and it was like, he ain't going to score here. You know, we was like, he ain't going to score. Yeah, and he just absolutely slotted it with his right foot. And it was like, this is mental. And as you know yourself, the place went absolutely berserk. And it was just incredible. But I'll take that one. Right, your favourite cup game, any cup, any league, FA, Euro, any Euro Cup, whatever. Your favourite cup final.
Right. Sorry, that would have to be.
Favourite cup game.
Cup
game.
Yeah, that's quite easy for me. I've been to quite a few cup games. That would be the 1987 replay of the Littles Cup semi-final against Tottenham, and I'm factoring a lot of things in here. I'm factoring in the crowd, which was unbelievable. That was an unbelievable atmosphere. We went there, bought a ticket off a tout, £9 down Tottenham High Road, I think it was. I didn't even know I was going to get a ticket. Went along. I had tickets to the previous Sunday's second leg game where we won 2-1. And at that time, we kept beating Tottenham 2-1. And we had a song. We won 2-1. We won 2-1. We won 2-1 out the lane. It was easy. It was easy. It was easy out the lane. And that was what it was all about. Right? We beat Tottenham 2-1 on a Sunday, and then I think on a Wednesday, that was a replay. So Clive Allen, who was a brilliant striker for Tottenham, anything in the box, he'd just put away. He was a proper fox in the box. He would, anything loose, he'd just run onto it. He had a knack. If the ball was over there, he could just swerve about, run, turn, bang, goal. A bit like Ian Rush. They went 1-0 up after 60 odd minutes, and our heads were down. We were in the away end. It was like being on a sinking ship in the away end at Tottenham. We were all there going, we can't lose this. We can't lose to this shit, you know. So, and they had a decent team. They had Glenn Hoddle in midfield. They had decent centre backs, good full backs. Chris Hughton. Yeah, they were probably a better team than us at that time, but we just had the young enthusiasm. We had the manager, George Graham, that was quietly going about his business saying, you can overachieve, guys. And that's what we did. And then we're standing there, and it was just out of the blue. I'm standing there. I look round to my right. I see Ian Allington. He's turned and swiveled. Next thing, the ball was just gone between Clements and the near post, 1-1. And all hell broke loose. I nearly got crushed. I was right in front of one of them old-fashioned crush bars like this on the terraces. And I'm taking the weight of people behind me like this, getting crushed. It was great fun. I loved it. Great fun. You're all sweaty in there as well, where so many of you are packed in like this. You're losing body weight. You're sort of sweating, and it's the old-fashioned game of the terraces. You cannot beat it.
It's a different experience, Darren.
Yeah.
People don't modern fans will never ever understand any of that.
No.
It's all too nice sitting there eating your pork sandwiches. You know what I mean? You know, they wouldn't want to get all that, all that drama. It's different times, man.
Different times. So then Rocky went through, got his 2-1, and the scenes was just unbelievable. We desperately wanted to put Tottenham away because they were our rivals. And the noise in the ground was just like, whenever you take a big following away from home, it's great. You can't beat a day at football when you've got big numbers. And of course, that's why I like the League Cup, the old Littlewoods Cup, Carabao Cup as it is now, and all these other names it's been given, because they give the away supporters a big following, and you're more on an even keel in terms of numbers with support. There's a better atmosphere in the ground. There's more excitement getting to the ground because you're not so outnumbered. You're seeing other fans going, and it was just a great evening. And you know, I heard even Arsenal supporters 3 or 4 weeks later laughing, saying, "Oh yeah, when we went out, we were up Seven Sisters Road, giving it all to Tottenham fans like this." So that's without doubt the best cup game for atmosphere I've been to.
No, I get that one. I get that. I don't think anybody else has said that. So respect to you. Hendon Gooner says, "Thank you, Dale at Oregon Goon. Not much else I can do. Glad to be able to watch Jesse's show this evening. Hendon, get yourself well, man. Look after yourself. Rest up. You know." And Dal, I've actually got a bit of information for you. Talking about your flight from Portland next year when you come over to see Oasis, you can get a direct flight from Portland, Oregon to London Heathrow. And then you'd have to get a local flight from London to Edinburgh. Just to let you know that, my friend. It's 9.5 hour flight, I think it is. But I found out the other day and I meant to tell you. So that will save you a bit of a journey. Having to change at New York and all that. But British Airways, mate. They fly from Portland, Oregon to London Heathrow. Anyway, there you go. I'm a fountain of all knowledge. There you go. Oregon says Giroud Scorpion kick versus Palace. Yeah, that was a legend goal. That was something else. I remember that. Awesome says Sauce says Darren. Right. Darren, your best cup final. Any cup final.
Easy. Because I think I've only ever been to one. I've only been to one cup final in my life. And that was the 1987 Littlewoods Cup final versus Liverpool. I was 16. I don't know how I got a ticket, but I got a ticket. And went along. Half of the people from school, because we just left school, we were just sort of in the school leaving age. Believe it or not, half of us were Liverpool supporters, you know, because they were the dominant force of the time.
Yeah, they
and
were.
This was the scout we needed to take, and it was a machine. You know, they had McMahon in midfield, Ian Rush up there. Craig Johnson was another good player, Australian winger who was a pest. Alan Hansen at the back, Grobbelaar. Trying to think of a few more of their players. But they were a machine.
Hansen.
Yeah. Mark Lawrenson was probably the other centre back. So we're outside the concourse. We're all meeting up with our Liverpool mates, about 16 years of age, all of us were, and it was just flags everywhere. And we needed to beat Liverpool off the pitch in terms of nice support. I don't mean any other aggression, but as a club, we need to beat Liverpool as well as on that pitch. We need to beat them off it as well, and we did. We filled that stadium because we hadn't been in a Wembley final for quite some time. I think the last one was 1980, so it was a good 7 years since we've been to Wembley. And what the fans were brilliant, Arsenal fans that day. We had flags out everywhere, and I remember one supporter went, "Oh look, we fucked them for flags today." Yeah, like this. When you looked at the other end of Liverpool's support, their support is phenomenal. You know, they had big like flags that were huge, with like the Irish flag on it. You know, the three colours and that, and Liverpool, massive. And that was a day where it really sunk in for me how big Liverpool were as a football club. Seeing all their supporters travelling all that way down. And it was, again, a great day. Again, we go 1-0 down. And I actually felt we were, I can't remember if we were north or south end tunnel. I think we were the north tunnel, yeah, our support. And I actually felt the stadium shake at points in that game. You know, it was where you were standing there and it was the goal just gone in, and I was like, "Is this stadium going to collapse?" It's like, what's going on? You know. But yeah, so it was great. So Charlie did us proud. Got the equaliser. Sansom, I thought, put a beautiful ball in from like left wing. Put it right over for someone to put it in. But then the other day, I think Kyle might have mentioned Steve Williams, who I've really liked as a midfielder. He was good. Stevie Williams. We had a little song for him. Stevie's going to get you, because he played away White Hart Lane and he was giving Ozzy Ardiles a load of shit, you know, in the midfield, and told him to do one, you know, and that was all on the telly and that, you know. So, so Charlie's got the goal and then the equaliser, and then the second one, again, I'm standing there watching this. Charlie's just had a bog standard shot. It's deflected off someone. Next thing, Grobbelaar started to go one way, but the ball took a deflection, and then he had to try and go back again, but it was too late. And that was it. And, of course, the old adage, Ian Rush, 1-0 down, 2-1 up. We fucked Rush's record up, and that was the song. You know, it was.
You got to love all them old songs, innit?
Oh, I loved them.
They're proper songs.
Yeah, sure.
Not all this bollocks now.
No, not this bollocks now.
No, it's all this North London forever bullshit.
Yeah,
fuck off.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it's bollocks, man. The other thing I'll just go back to Dow. The other thing I meant to say, mate, that flight, Portland to Heathrow, when you land at Heathrow, British Airways, it's Terminal 5. Your internal flight to Edinburgh also goes from Terminal 5. So you ain't going to walk around half a bloody Heathrow to get your flight. So just a bit of information that a mate of mine gives to me about flying. He works at Heathrow, so he did tell me.
Terminal 5 is the posh terminal.
It is.
It's where all the celebs come in.
Yeah, no. Pay a fortune to go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant and all, if you wanted. Anyway, there we are. Let's move it on. Darren, I'm loving this. I'm loving your journey here right now. You're coming out with different facts, and that's what I like to hear. Be up, Henry. Hope you're well. And hey, Mama, and all that. People having a good old chat there, as you like to see. Vic says, Mama Flossie, not too bad, thank you. Just enjoying company with all you guys and waiting for proper footy to be back at weekend, really. These shows have been great. I've really enjoyed them. I really have. It's been a great reception to them as well. And I'm just going to say, if anybody in the chat wants to come and join and do their Arsenal journey, Richard Flack last week, who's a YouTube member of the channel, he came on, he did his, and thoroughly enjoyed that as well. So if anybody wants to do that, you're more than welcome. Just contact me. Just shout it out and I'll get in contact with you. Dal says, sounds good, Jez. Appreciate it. No worries, man. It's facts. My friend told me that. Mate, this is a big question. Your favourite Arsenal player?
Now, that's very tough because obviously we've had some right old legends. I even go back as far as Malcolm McDonald, Super Mac. I remember he was one of the first players I remember reading about in the papers as an Arsenal fan. Pat Jennings as well. You know, he's a legend, total legend. So moving on, so who have we got then? So round about sort of, so let's wind that forward. We had a bit of a dodgy period. Then we get to 1986, where you got the golden generation of youngsters, Tony Adams, Niall Quinn. You got what was called the 3 degrees, Paul Davis, Rocky Rocastle, Mickey Thomas.
Oh, yes.
That was a golden era. Then after that, you've got sort of 1990s, Alan Smith sort of come along. Then you had Marwood on the wing. You had Limpar on the wing. Very good. 2 good wingers who were instrumental, actually, in us winning those leagues in the 89 and 91 season. They were the, like, sexy signing of the day. You know, I remember 88, it was like, who we signing? Brian Marwood from Sheffield Wednesday. It was like, who? 600,000. Then he's just got on a pitch and he's turned out to be an exceptional winger. And then Anders Limpar was, again, nobody really knew who he was, and he come in and he was better than him. Then you go on to the 2000s, late 98, where you get Nicholas Anelka coming in, wingers come in, Petit, Vieira, you know, all these players, you know, so, and it goes on now to the present day where things have dipped off considerably after we've had our sort of big peak of sort of 2002 and 2004. Things have taken a massive dip since 2004. But the player I'm going to go for, as much as I adore Thierry Henry's skill, athleticism, Bergkamp's skill, athleticism, the player I'm going to go for as my all-round best Arsenal player links into one of my previous answers, and that's Tony Adams, because I just feel all-round the bloke is loyal, he never left, and he's very underappreciated in terms of his technique. I don't think people get what a good player, exceptional player he was, because he got a lot of goals from centre-back, and not only just with his head as well. He used to pop up in the opposition box against Tottenham, put a volley in, and I just loved his technique. When the ball come up, when we got a corner, you used to see him trot up like this, and he'd hover on the edge of the box like that. He'd wait, and then he'd run round the back. He'd wait, and the ball would come in, and then he had this fucking great big leap where he threw his head back and just like this. And you go and watch the goals he scored. That was his trademark.
Yeah.
And whilst that seems a bit sort of sensationalist, me doing the demo on the video and that's what he did. And that's what he did really well. He put his head in. He'd score. I saw him score a diving header at Old Trafford. He scored an own goal as well, but he got a diving header. He used to put his face in where other people wouldn't do it.
He didn't care, did he? He didn't. That's the thing. He never shook out of a tackle ever. Yeah. I don't ever remember that guy backing out of a header, backing out of a tackle. he put his. Let's be honest, mate. He put his body on the line.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And tackling, he was brilliant at it in terms of he knew how to time, pulling the leg back, and then using it like a sledgehammer to just take the ball, wallop. He'd put the player on the deck with his tackle. One of the things that sticks in my mind is the 1998 Cup final. He was like a proper professional, where he'd get done by a forward, but he'd just get up again and carry on. That was when Alan Shearer put him into the almost the front row. A ball come across, it was bouncing. Adams and Shearer went for it. Shearer bashed him, clattered him on the deck, and then the camera went straight in on Adams to see what he was going to do, how he was going to react. Was he going to cheat or roll around? Tony Adams just got up, stuck his head up like that, looked up the pitch, and ran off again, as if to say, "Is that the best you've got today, Alan?" Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And that is just, rather than giving it all the mouth, and that's what you've got to do as a profession. That's professionalism. That's probably coached into him by Don Howe as a youngster, and Viv Anderson's mentoring him as well. That's how he got taught to deal with world-class strikers, which Alan Shearer was, and he'd done it really well. And he's, I thought about Burkamp as well. With Burkamp, you got a little bit about flying and that. I'm not going to over knock him for that. It's a small thing. But it's these little, this is why I picked Tony Adams, because a lot of people described him as Mr. Arsenal, and that's correct, he is. But I actually feel like he got a lot of this donkey bollocks when he was younger. But that's only, let's be honest, because he was like probably about 20 and he was up against Marco van Basten in the European Championships. Well, that player would have made anyone look silly, because he was at the top of his game and they won that tournament. So he got a lot of unfair criticism, I believe.
Well, it's when he used to get called Donkey Adams, didn't he? You know what I mean? It's very unfair, in my opinion. Vic says, I remember reading on Teletext gossip column that we signed Nelka, thinking, who the hell is this kid we're signing? He ended up being one of my favourite strikers at the time. I agree with you. I remember when we signed him, I think, who's this guy? But you're right. Unfortunately, he got greedy. But, Darren, your best non-Arsenal player? Anywhere.
Yeah, I've thought about that one a little bit. I liked Zola at Chelsea. Liked him a lot. I thought he was very good for a small player. Used to knock people off the ball, very skillful. I liked R9, Fat Ronaldo. He was good. He used to bang hat-tricks in at Old Trafford. I also liked, around about the same time, Barcelona had a midfielder called Rivaldo, who I loved. I thought he was brilliant. He used to get like free kicks and he had this little shuffle he used to do. The ball get put down 30 yards out. It was a bit like that Coutinho. He was better than Coutinho, Liverpool, but he'd get the ball, put it down, look up, and he'd just go 1, 2, 3, bang, kick. And the ball would just go in, goal. He was outstanding. Zinedine Zidane, again, another good player. Ruud Gullit as well, another very good, versatile player. Could play anywhere. I remember seeing, just when he come to play for Chelsea, he actually started playing on the wing in an FA Cup game against Man United. He was doing well. I was like, wow. But my favourite all-time non-Arsenal player is Diego Maradona.
Okay.
And on the basis that I think he got kicked to shreds, but he was so strong. And I remember the 1986 World Cup tournament, I actually felt the fear of Diego Maradona of shit. We're wasting our time. Whatever team are going out wasting their time. You got no chance. This bloke, he was just too good for for everyone. He would, and I know you got Messi as a comparer, but Zola actually used to train with Maradona, I think, at one of those Italian clubs. I remember listening to Jonathan Pierce saying on the radio that Zola had picked up a lot of his traits from Maradona. And I don't like Gary Lineker. I hate him with a passion, by the way, but that's another story. But he tells a story that they went to play Argentina in a game and they were like gobsmacked in the warm-up. Maradona's getting a ball and he's kicking it about 50 yards in the air, watching it come down and kicking it up again, another 50 yards up in the air, kicking it, another 50, you know. I mean, this was a player that was like, I mean, we know he had his drugs, which let him down. We know the hand of God, but let's be honest, that goal after the hand of God sort of levelled that up, really, I thought. It was a shame for England that day because I actually thought they had a chance and we got the goal back, but they were the best because they had Maradona. They were the best team. He was just he was a league ahead.
You're the second one with that one. Kenny joins that. He agrees with you. Kenny jumped in on that one. Okay, change this a bit. Favourite away ground, whether you've been there or you haven't been there, doesn't matter. It's just your opinion on your favourite away ground.
Yeah, right. So let's go through the grounds I've been to. I've been to White Hart Lane, which is great because I think I've got an unbeaten record there. Don't think I've ever seen us lose there. I'm one of these fans, by the way, that I'm not like a gold repeat attender like yourself, Jez, Kenny Ken, Lee Gunner. I sort of fall in the middle of, on that step down of, there was only one season where I went to every game, and that was the 89 season. But since then, I've gone to about 6 or 8 every season, mainly at home. A couple of away dropped in there as well. I like the away. I love going away. It's so hard getting the tickets away. I'm still a member. So me and my lad, we go to about 6 games. We try and pick our games, but you've got this awful ballot, you know. But back in the day, yeah, I mean, the different ground. I went to Oldham away, which was one of the coldest grounds, the highest ground. We lost 3-1. That was a nightmare. Portsmouth away at that old Fratton Park, been there. Derby baseball ground, been there. Wembley's a nice stadium. It is an away ground, I suppose. Where else I've been? I went up to Hampden Park to watch England. That was eventful, very eventful. That was in 1987-8. I was 16, went on the coach, left at Victoria, got raided by the police on the coach after we left Victoria Station. That was events. Stones coming over from the jocks at the end of the game. It was great fun. So what else? Yeah, so where else have I been? Anfield away. Never done St James's Park, Newcastle. I think I put on there the other day I'd like to do that. Everton away, been there. But my favourite ground out of all of them is for pure hate for 90 minutes. Manchester United.
Oh.
United. I love to hate them. I love to go there. And I love it. I love going to Man United away. And I've got to admit, my record there is not too good. I've seen draws. I don't think I've never seen us. I don't think I've ever seen us beat Man United there. I've always gone there for a draw or a defeat. Yeah. But I just love the atmosphere of it. I mean, it's not there now because you've got the corporates. Back in the day, they were scum. I mean, I used to see them in the side bit. They're like another breed. They'd take the top off like this and it'd be all sunny. They'd all be jigging up and down like this. Get the top off. Yeah, that's it. We're giving it shit. I love the atmosphere. Love it up there. And the thrill of coming out and thinking, right, I've got to watch myself now. Where's it coming from? You know, it is great. It's 4 hours on the train up there. A lot of the time I've gone police escort, Arsenal travel club coach and all that. I've done all that at Man United. I saw us get a 1-1 draw. Tony Adams diving header in the 80s. Saw us got beat 2-0 in the FA Cup. I think Nasri and Van Persie played in that one. That weren't good. They didn't end well. I also went in. This is before we won the 87 Littlewoods Cup, League Cup. When I first started going to games, we got a 0-0 up there. And it was the same day that Michael Ryan went on the old gun spree at Hungerford like this. It was like the second game of the season, I think it was. Then another game we got done 4-1 when that Michael Knight and the new chairman come on the pitch and started kicking the ball up. That was the game after. That was the first game of the season after 89. And I remember standing in the local workingmen's club in Hayes. And in them days, I was a bit like the Arteta sexuals, really. All thing Arsenal was great and we're unbeatable. Now we're going to go on this run and win the league for the next 20 years and win the European Cup and everything else. And I remember some bloke saying to his mate, "Here, you know what, tomorrow, Man United do Arsenal tomorrow." I remember sitting there thinking, wankers, what do they know? We're it now. We've just won the league. You know, we've got there. We're going to wipe the floor, Man United. Who are they? We got beat 4-1.
That's how it was back then, man.
Yeah.
As Vic says, question for Jez and Darren. Jez, did any of you guys purchase any of the items sold off from Highbury? I wish I did so at the time, but missed out. Yeah, I bought my seat in the North Bank.
Really?
And I still got it. I bought that, and I missed out on buying a bit of the Highbury turf, but yeah, I did do that for 50 quid, I think it was, something like that.
Oh, that's all right. Nice.
Good question, Vic.
Yeah, no, I didn't get anything. I missed out on that one. I was aware, but I just missed out. I probably just didn't fancy buying anything at the time that was left, probably because it all probably sold out. Really
season ticket holders got first dish,
right?
At whatever. So I was straight in there with that.
Yeah,
and I've got it somewhere. Vic says, Henry Baker, lovely. I actually have a close friend in my town with the surname Baker, who ran a coach up to Anfield for all Poole fans from here. They actually took me to Poole versus Palace in a cup game. Fair play to you, man. Fair play to you. Henry says, nice Vic Bakers are very well known for coaches and bread and dog kibble. Okay. Ryan says, don't like these streams, Jez. Fair enough, mate. Thanks for your opinion. If you don't like it.
Cheers, Ryan.
If you don't like them, mate, don't watch. Simple as that. You don't have to.
What is there not to like? I get explain in the comments, Ryan. You know, just don't give it the short, sharp. You know, let's have a bit of engagement. You know,
well, he won't, because at the end of the day, he's just a troll. Yeah. So, mate. Yeah, done that one. Your best away game, apart from Liverpool. 89. Your best away game you've seen on telly or you've been there? Don't matter.
Yeah, I might have to come back to that one, Jess, because I don't know. Best away game.
It's a tricky one.
Right. All right. Yeah, I've got one. I'll come back to that one. I believe. Yeah, I'll come back to that one. I'll have a little think about that in the old subconscious.
Oh. Okay. Right. Your best Premier League manager.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I was going to go for George Graham because I was wondering if he was still a Premier League manager. All right, he didn't win anything. Was he about when the Premier League were in? He might have just got sacked. What year was that? That would have been
91, wasn't it, when the Premier League started? So
yeah, 92, 93.
He would have been. But
he got sacked, didn't he, by Arsenal in a terror. It was awful because all the managers were doing it. Let's be honest.
They were. You telling me Terry Venables working for Alan Sugar weren't on it? Come on, man. Alan Sugar, one of the most corrupt businessmen you'll ever come across, and you got Terry Venables. Jesus Christ, come on.
Yeah, Christ. And their egos just clashed. Yeah, so manager-wise, got Mourinho's very good, Wenger very good, Alex Ferguson, all very good managers. Pep Guardiola again is in that sort of is in that area. But I think, to be fair, I would say the best Premier League manager, and like probably yourself, Jez, this is very hard for me to admit. Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Whiskey nose.
It's got to be in it. It's got to be.
It's got to be whiskey nose. I mean, I hated the bloke back in the day. I used to watch his press conferences. And I looked at him and I just think, and I used to laugh at some of the Arsenal fans. I remember when Rooney got signed and someone said online or somewhere, "Oh, look, it's the alcoholic jock and his gypsy sidekick," like this, having a laugh. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Fergie was brilliant. I mean, what I liked about Fergie is he made the common sense signing. So you'd be studying the leagues, and then you'd look at what player was doing well. Like, for example, just off the top of my head, Dwight York, for example, doing really well at Aston Villa, scoring a lot of goals, and you'd think he'd do well in a top four or a title-winning squad. And Fergie just go and buy him. No fucking about for 6 weeks talking about it. He'd just go and do the money and just go, signed. Michael Carrick, midfielder, signed. You know, and these might not be the world-beating players, but it'd also go for players that weren't sensationally good, but just did a good job, like Alan Smith at Leeds. Did he sign Henrik Larsson at one point? Well, no, maybe that's someone else. But he would make the common sense signing, the one that you thought, oh, actually, we should be in, like Ashley Young,
yeah,
on the wing. He'd just go and do the money and they get these players in. You know, Andy Cole from Newcastle, again, done the money for him.
He was a different level, let's be honest. Got 13 league titles, European Cups, FA Cups, League Cups. You know, you just can't walk away from a person like that. But right, this one, I know the answer to this one already.
Yeah,
but I'm going to ask you anyway. Best Arsenal defender.
Yeah, it's got to be Tony Adams. Again, he's clattering tackles, all-round captain ability as well. Probably one of the best captains. I don't know how anyone could leave him out of a Premiership all 11 back four. I see some people pick Ferdinand and Terry at the back. No, not a prayer. Tony Adams, Muller's Ferdinand for goals. Where's Ferdinand's goals in this? You know, all right, he was a strong defender, Ferdinand. You know, he would have got one or two, but not like Tony Adams. I mean, he used to pop up in the box for fun and nick goals, headers, volleys, and he never had Tony Adams as captain, you know, abilities. When you read his book, Tony Adams, he's like saying to the board, "Oh, we're going to sign decent players this year. We're going for the league," and things like that. You see Ferdinand doing that. I can't see him doing that. John Terry, yes. He gets very close to Tony Adams. If not, maybe level, because he was the same as Adams. Put a good tacker in, very good reader of the game, was always popping up in the box. He was a threat from a corner all day long. So, favourite Arsenal defender. So, you've got to have a great defender. I mean, you've got Stevie Bold, who I just loved. I mean, he used to come in. His speciality was mark centre forward, wait for the centre forward with the ball to start bottling it and running back to the halfway line. And then he used to just clatter them underneath the foot like this, kick them up in the air like that. He'd do what Sam Allardyce calls a reducer. He'd smash them, and that'd be the end of that centre forward for the rest of the game. Baldy would get a yellow card. He'd trot back off, take position back in defence, and that's half the job done. Good night for the striker. You know, brilliant.
It's the old classic take one for the team, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Right, next one, mate. Your best Arsenal goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's a tough one because you got Pat Jennings, who was the first keeper I knew, and he was adored by all the fan base, supporters, and big hands, and safe as houses, and very rarely made any mistakes. I mean, I can't remember Jennings ever making any errors. I remember George Wood once, who followed him at Tottenham away when the ball slithered under his body that time. That was a disaster. So then we had Johnny Lukic, who again was brilliant. He had a great sense of humour, John. I remember one game we sang, he had his hands on his hips like this. The North Bank sang to him, "Johnny, give us a wave." Instead of turning round, he did this with his this because he was concentrating on the game, looking forward. He's a great keeper, Lukic. Pulled off some good saves for us when we were,
very steady keeper.
Yeah. And then George is in for Seaman to replace him. And I was one of them. I was like, no, we want to keep Lukic. Why are we getting Seaman? I remember George saying, Lukic's a great keeper. I think he's brilliant, but I think David Seaman's better than him. And maybe that was the case with Seaman because he was a very sturdy, steady, solid keeper that could pull off some good saves, but not over-dramatise. He got that one against Sheffield United that was very good. But the keeper I'm going to go for is Jens Lehmann because I think he was very mad. And the other thing I liked about him was he was just dedicated. I'll never forget a game. I can't remember which game it was. But I went to see him at Highbury once, and he was out on his own doing a warm-up. No other players near him. And he was running along the goal line and the byline, what they call the byline, going to the corner flag, touching the ground, jumping up, and then he touched the ground, the goal line, touched the top of the crossbar, touched the goal line, touched the ball. You just think a lot of these players, even 10, 15 years ago when Lehmann was around, a lot of them had sort of egos. They wouldn't want to be seen to be doing acrobatics and silly things. But he just didn't care because that was the way he was going to do it. And he didn't give anything or any thoughts to anyone else. It was like, yeah, I'm going to train myself to be fit, ready for the game. And some of that run up to the European Cup final, the Champions League final, that semi-final against Madrid, he got us through the second leg, which was at Highbury. Real Madrid laid siege to our goal. You had Beckham. I don't know if Fat Ronaldo was in. I think he was. Fat Ronaldo was in Real Madrid's team because I saw Henry's goal at the first leg where he just walked around Fat Ronaldo and about three other players and slotted it for 1-0. Lehmann got us through that. He was making saves that were just like getting his fingertips to shots that were coming off the post, and he got us through that. And then was that the quarter? Might have been the quarter final, and then we had the shootouts with Villarreal as well. Yeah, got us through all that. Yes, he got sent off, but I'm not going to deviate anywhere off what anyone else has said on these other shows. That he should have been given a yellow card at Paris and 1-0 Barca, and it was too much. It was too sensationalist red card. It was all unnecessary. really.
Well, that's a debate for a whole nother stream.
Yeah, and Henri actually said with Lehmann, in some games he'd go back and Lehmann would be there waiting for the rest of the players, saying, "What the fuck are you doing? You've messed this up. You know, you're not protecting us, the defence," and he'd be proper having it with other players that were slacking, which is good. And I don't see David Seaman doing any of that. So I like Seaman, but I think Lehmann gets the edge psychologically because he was more of a winner than Seaman. And Seaman didn't learn by his mistake with that the lobbing goals. The lobbing goals, Zaragoza, and then Ronaldinho done it to him at England.
Oh, yeah.
I just think Seaman was a little bit passive, a little bit psychologically a bit more quiet and not as much at the races and really desperate than Jens Lehmann.
Fair enough. Let's have a quick question in here. Mate, what do you think about Tuchel becoming the England manager?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, only because being an England fan, I've chopped and changed over the years over whether England's coach should be England or not. I don't really know. I'm a bit confused about that. Does anyone think that the England manager's got to be English? I mean, let's look at what's Spain's manager recently. Was he Spanish? You know, let's look at the recent tournaments and see if any foreign coaches have managed teams that are not their nationality. Can't think of too many.
No, I can't. But I think at times, mate, we've got to mix it up because Southgate, Lee Carsley got told he wouldn't be in the mix. So I wish the guy well for England.
Yeah.
But
yeah, done all right. Carsley away at Ireland, it was done all right. But he's put a few players in, I think, who's that? Where'd you get them from? You know, there was a couple of players, I can't remember their names, but I was like, well, who's that? What have they done to deserve an England call-up? It's the old favour trick, isn't it? A bit like Arteta going to get all his ex-Man City pals.
It's the England way, man. It's the England way. But, okay, worst Arsenal game for you. Your worst Arsenal game.
Oh, worst Arsenal game. I mean, Barcelona takes some doing, but that's not for the want of us trying. I'd probably say maybe that Zaragoza final because we'd won it the year before, and I thought, oh, this is good. You know, we're going to retain. We've done ever so well under Stuart Houston, who was the manager who took over from George when he got sacked, and he'd done a good job there. And I thought we were going to go and win that and retain the Cup Winners' Cup. And I was actually quite gutted when we lost that. You know, it was like, I actually believe we lost that game because Ray Parlour and Martin Keown jumped for the ball and they had a collision of heads. And one of them had to go off, and I think that completely disrupted us. But actually, no. I've got an answer to the previous question as well. Best away game I've been to, not a cup game. It was a cup game, but I'll tell you the best away game I've been. That previous one that you've answered, I didn't have an answer to. Right, so where was I now? So worst, what was the question we're on now?
Worst Arsenal game.
Yeah, without doubt, worst Arsenal game, I think it's got to be semi-finals, FA Cup. Yeah, was it 1991? We had won the title that year with George. We were up against Tottenham in the semi-finals in 1988-89 season, pre-season. I went to see us beat Tottenham 4-0 in the Makita tournament warm-up where Gascoigne was called "You Fat Bastard" for 90 minutes, which was great entertainment and I loved it. But to see Gaza put a free kick in from 30 yards. I was devastated because I thought, here comes the double. You know, we're on for a League and Cup double. And then when Alan Smith got that header for 1-1, I was off. Yeah, I was delighted. I was like, yeah, come on. And then Lineker's got through, poked the ball past Seaman, and I can't even remember who scored the third goal. And I don't want to. But that, I think, was the most sickest game for me. 3-1, semi-final, FA Cup.
Not the 8-2 Man United game?
I was going to go for that, actually. Yeah, now you mention it. Yeah, the 8-2. That was what I was originally going to go for. Totally slipped my mind, that one. I'd say, I think I'd still stick with the Tottenham game because there was things on that. I mean, all right, yeah, we were playing Man United, but did anyone really believe we were going to win the league that season? And more to the point, did anyone really expect us to go up to Man United like that and win against them?
Is that squad as well? We had no squad.
No.
It was shocking.
We were bones. What Harry Redknapp would say is we're down to the bare bones.
We were. Yeah. We were fighting the bare bones. Locksmiths and security specialists. Evening, guys. Great show as always. Thank you, man. I'm really enjoying this one with Darren. Okay. Your worst Arsenal player. We've had a few of them.
Yeah, we have had a few. I mean, Gus Caesar got a lot of stick, but I didn't really see him a lot. Might have seen him for one game and he weren't all that good on the ball. Didn't like Sagan. I thought he was a bit... You know, the first time I saw Sagan play, I was convinced he was the new Yap Stam. He looked quite assured, and it just goes to show you can't judge a player on his opening game, you know, because then he just got ripped. They soon worked out he weren't mobile, and they just put little nippy players around him, and they were in on goal every day of the week. I'll tell you, I know I'm going to go for, and I haven't got a lot of knowledge on this one, but this is getting the archives out. I'm blowing the cobwebs away a little bit with this one. What other players have been poor? Almunia I didn't like as a goalkeeper. Well, I put a little bit of blame on him for the Champions League. Them 2 goals, he got done at the near post. It's not acceptable. That weren't good. And of course now, there's even some players in this existing team now that could be very good candidates.
Oh. Yeah.
For being some of the worst players. Let's not be too kind to the current setup, but I'm going to go on the basis that this was a monumental signing, might have even been a record transfer back in the 80s. Lee Chapman from Stoke City in the 80s was meant to be the answer to all our prayers at centre forward. He got a few goals with Stoke, and here's the shit and kicker. He was actually a very good player, and he was good. Because when he left us, he went and won the fucking league with Leeds United and scored a shitload of goals. So he come to us for, I think, about 300 or 600,000. Well, it was a big money, and everyone was excited. Oh, Lee Chapman, and all this. And something about, I think, reading other Arsenal fans, they were sort of saying that his nickname might have been Douglas Bader because he was only any good in the air. He was shit on the floor. But he was very good in the air. You know, he'd get goal. But for some reason, he flopped. And that was a mega disappointment because I think everyone was really, really expectant that he was going to turn things around for us. Ravi B. Harry, you've put here questions for Darren. Worst 90s Arsenal's defenders, in your opinion? Well, I was going to go for Schillaci. or what's his name? Skillet, the French centre back. Scalacci. Yeah.
Scalacci.
Yeah. I keep getting mixed up with his. I think that's how you pronounce his name, because of course you've got the Italian striker, I think, who might have passed away recently. That sounds similar with his name, but yeah, I mean, I heard one celebrity Arsenal fan refer to him as skin disease, which I thought was quite amusing. But he was a disaster. He looked nervous every time he went out. Sebastian Squillaci, that's it. Thank you, Caravaggio, for confirming that. Sorry if I butchered your name there, but yeah, I mean, he was an absolute monumental disaster, really. And the other sad thing about it is you have sort of these little phases where you start to dislike a player for a little while, and all of a sudden they might get put to another position and actually think, oh, and one player like that was Matt Flamini. I mean, he used to get a little bit of abuse, and I used to think, is he good enough? Look at that period he had for us at left back leading up to the Champions League final. He was brilliant, and he actually got pulled out, and Ashley Cole come back, and you've got to wonder, maybe would things have been different? We don't know, but yeah, Remy Gard, he didn't really get that much of a chance, did he? He didn't get many games.
No.
Yeah, so I think the worst Arsenal player for me, pound for pound, if you're talking about how much money we've gone and paid, and I heard as well a few of these shows, Mesut Ozil, all day long. I'll sign up to that every day of the week, because that's the same sort of thing I'm saying about Chapman.
£150 million he fleeced us for. Do you remember Shamak?
I do, yeah. Shamak.
What a joke that was.
He banged a couple of goals in, but that was it.
He was shocking. He was shocking. As Caracchio says, Flamini is actually a billionaire. Yeah, his family owns a massive winery vineyard south. He's got a few bobs. He was in the 90s. Yes, he was. Right, last question, mate.
Yeah.
Stadium, Highbury or the Emirates for you?
Right. Now, I'll start off with the Emirates. I'm going to confess, I do like the stadium. It's not the place, it's the people in it. Put the right board in there. Put the right director of football in there. Put the right manager in there. Put the right fans in there. Winners, not people that are just happy for a day out. And you've got a fantastic stadium that can compete with Highbury. But unfortunately, Highbury wins because that's when it had the right owner, directors of football, David Dean, directors, it had the right managers in, Wenger and Graham, and people Bertie Mee and Herbert Chapman, people that come before that. And it had the right fans in there. Unfortunately, the Emirates just hasn't got the people. You know, if you go to a pub up the high street, you can dress it up as much as you like. It can be old, quirky, rustic. Yeah, you put the wrong people in there, you'll have stabbings and shootings. You put the right people in there, you'll have business. And it's the same. You then go and spruce it all up with Weatherspoons and mod cons and, you know, girls in rabbit hats and stuff like that. Put the right people in there, everyone's going to be fine. Put the wrong ones in there. It's the people, I think, not the areas. But you got to have the soft spot for Highbury's, you know, footprint. It's exterior, it's history. Emirates is more modern. It's more plastic. So it's Highbury all day long. Good evening, Pete. I'm sorry you didn't take up my challenge to meet up with me at the game when I invited you to meet up with me for a pint. What I'm going to do, mate, is I'll let you know when I'm next game. In fact, right now, Liverpool at home, I'm going. Let's meet up in the Blackstock Public House.
Don't go, mate. He don't go to the games. He's a little pussy. You know what I'm saying? He's a little pussy. So you can forget that idea. These little muppets, mate. You know, they just like to sit there and give it the large. If you were to face them straight out, right, tap on their shoulder and say, "All right, Pete, how you doing?" They'd shit themselves.
Yeah,
absolutely shit themselves.
All day long.
You know, they've got no balls, they've got no bollocks, and they're just little pussios that've got nothing to say but sit there in their little bedrooms, yeah, wanking over bloody Arteta. That's all they do, and they're just full of shit at the end of the day, and they're just pathetic little people. Hendon says Firmini's net worth is 19 billion through his biofuel companies. Well, he's not short of a few quid, then, is he? I would absolutely love an apartment in the old Highbury. Absolutely criminal what happened to it. Mate, if you've got about 1.2 million, you can go buy one. That's what they go for. But, yeah, I'll block him if I want to, but I don't really care. Those little trolls are pathetic little people. You know, they are small-dicked little people. Mama says, as usual, hope you are well. Mate, Darren, it's been a great Arsenal journey.
Great Arsenal journey. I think I owe you one question.
Yes, you do.
Best Arsenal away game I've attended.
Yep.
I'm going to go for Tottenham 1, Arsenal 4 in the League Cup. I think 4th or 5th round. Henri Lansbury got the ball rolling. Arsenal that day, we had a massive mob of fans. Can't remember what year it was. Would have been about 2011. We had a huge mob of supporters. Just went down Seven Sisters Road and we smashed it 4-1. And it was great to see that screen at the end of the game. Tottenham 1, Arsenal 4. It was brilliant. Well worth the attendance fee.
I agree with you on that one. I do agree with you on that one. I was at that game. I remember that very well. But, mate, I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, brilliant.
Been a great chat. You know, with your knowledge, your history, you're a proper old school, and that's what I like, to get old school on. Tell it as it is. Say it as it is. Yeah, I've loved it, mate. And hope one day that young Pete will meet up with you at the 12 pins or somewhere like that. You know what I mean? And shit himself when you tap him on the shoulder. Kirakio says, big up, Jez. Always tell it how it is. Yeah, I always do, mate, and I always will. And that is probably why I'm not the most popular person on YouTube, but I'll never change. That is it. That's it. Rob Yell says, big up, Jez and Darren. I was going to throw Nelson Vivas into the equation as a terrible player. Big up the chat. Big up to you, my friend. Big up to you. Vic says, big up, Jez. A great show, Jez and Darren, as always. Darren, you're always welcome on, mate.
Good. I'll try and get back in it again. Get on, do a few more.
Because, you used to come on quite regular. Hendon says, at Vic Lavia, and the worst thing was the drive back from Villa Park that night was awful, poured with rain. Got back around 3 a.m. and had to go to work 4 hours later. Mate, I wouldn't have gone to work, to be honest. I'd have called a sickie, but there you go. Hendon says, brilliant, Darren. Great stuff. Thank you to you. Darren, thank you very much, my friend. It's been brilliant. I can imagine how you must have felt on the way home, bud. Yeah, we've all done it. Driving back from Newcastle, mate, on a Saturday night, 6.5 hours. That's never a good day out. Actually, Sunday gone. Thanks everyone for a great stream. Thank you, Mama, as always. Vic says, night all. Darren, mate, shout out where we can find you on Insta.
Yeah, I will do. I'm just going to do a couple of amendments. Sunderland away, 2-1 win. Thierry Henry's last goal for Arsenal is my joint best away game attended, and Mama Flossie will like that one.
Do you know, I've never been to Sunderland. I've never been there.
Yeah, it turned into a bit of a disaster getting home, but that's another story. We got caught in the queue because Tottenham Newcastle was on, and the Metro, getting on the train from Sunderland station, then you got the Stadium of Light station, and then you got Newcastle as the connection to get back to London. So instead of turning right to go to Sunderland, me and my lad jumped in the queue at Stadium of Light, which never moved for 45 minutes. We're then at risk of missing our connecting train Newcastle to London. Of course, you buy the tickets, you can't just get on the next train because you'll get nicked. So we jumped in a cab, and the driver was a Sunderland fan. He said, "Oh, give us a good tip and I'll break the speed limit and get you there." So as we're coming across that bridge at Newcastle, he looks to his left and there's a train coming in. He goes, "See that over there?" He goes, "That's your train." So we legged it out of the cab, run all across all these platforms, get to the platform. The geezer's there, signal man. He's got his whistle and he's gone, shh, like this. And we've gone, let us in to the doors, let us in. And he's gone, "No, I can't do it because it's health and safety, because the train's bend and all that." Once them train doors stop, they can't let you get on because it's health and safety, doors shutting, all that. So we had to pay another couple of $100 sovs each to get back to London. And the other amended question as well, joint worst player with Lee Chapman, and I'm going to do it, and I don't care. Granit Xhaka is certainly tied for the worst Arsenal player, because nobody should tell the Arsenal fans
to F off.
Anyway, I'm only on Instagram. It's Darren Sullivan 49 on Insta. I'll post the odd humour or attempt at humour up with football stuff and that, have a bit of a laugh, put a few personal bits and bobs on there and have a bit of a laugh. And I love getting in the chats to all these shows. Brilliant. Cheers,
mate. Well, you're welcome anytime. You know that.
Cool.
I'm actually doing a show tomorrow night with Kenny. Aaron, X-rated Arsenal's going to join me. If you want to join, mate, you're more than welcome. No problem at all. Jellyfish Potter says, great name. Your opinion on Tuchel's England manager, Jetta? Well, we'll give him a go. What else we got? Darren? We ain't got nobody else. So,
well, there's Eddie Howe, who I don't think is quite experienced enough. The only other person I can think of is Alan Shearer, but he ain't got no experience, has he?
No, I don't. No, I wouldn't want him. No. I don't think that would work at all, personally.
No, I mean, he's
been out of it too long.
He was given that Newcastle team, but when they were going down anyway, and got judged on that. It's like Tony Adams. Did he really get a proper chance at management? Wickham?
Not really. No, I don't want Alan Shearer. No. I respect the man. Don't get me wrong, but I just think he's been out the loop for too long.
Yeah.
Sorry. But we're going to end it there, people. Thanks for joining. Thanks, everybody. Darren, you've been a ledge.
Thank you. Likewise.
As always. And we do the outro. And we'll see you next time, people. Take care, one and all.